Hello, this is Dante, and today I want to talk to you about how to use every negative manifestation and circumstance in your life as the blessing it really is. When I first began the spiritual path, I went to a satsang with a guru who said, if somebody gives you $5, give thanks to the divine. If somebody takes $5 from you, give thanks to the divine. In truth, this is how we ought to respond to every single negative circumstance that arises, whether it's disease, disaster, divorce, conflict. When we put out an energy of thanks and love, then that energy of thanks and love is returned to us. In fact, every little bit of energy that we put out comes back to us in that same form, whether we realize it or not. And the practice of ascending is really in just refining your awareness of how what is coming to you is your return of what you've put out, the energy that you've emitted. For the guru and for many in old forms of spirituality, the law of karma can be twisted and distorted in order to maintain old structures. The distortions of the law of karma and even the law of attraction can mean that, oh, well, you're born into this circumstance, so this is where you must stay and remain. Oh, and the New Age distortion of the law of attraction is, oh, well, you manifested that, so that's your problem, that's your fault now. And actually, the only way to respond is with the energy of self-love. And if you already get this and you can already give thanks to everything that comes to you regardless, then maybe you don't need to watch this video. Though if you're like me and you have great difficulties with this, hopefully this video and what I am about to download for you now is going to help you out a little bit and help me out as well, as we all teach best what we most have to learn. So one way that you can return to that energy of thankfulness is by understanding what you're actually getting from the negative circumstance. So there's always some hidden positive in everything we manifest. And everything that comes to us is a frequency that matches the frequency that we put out, as well as often cases in difficult circumstances, there to reflect to us, truthfully, what we're denying and hiding within ourselves. Because as the energies go up on the planet, there's nothing that you can keep behind the surface anymore. Every little secret and every unloved part of you is going to be reflected. And if you keep pushing that part of you away, then you're going to continue to manifest that circumstance. So what happened to me recently was somebody I was living with took something of great value and importance to me and claimed he didn't do it. In reality, there was no way that anyone other than him or invisible fairies could have taken this object. And instead of doing what I ought to have done, and I'm not beating myself up about this, I loved the one who reacted crazily. So yeah, that's what I did. I reacted like a maniac. I blamed and took and tried to make it even in that old paradigm way that I didn't even know was still alive in me until I was faced with such a difficult negative energy. And in the depths of processing this, I really felt like I was going to die. I wanted to die. I was a terrible, awful piece of shit. And this was all my fault. I felt these emotions while I knew it wasn't true. And I kept diving into it, and I realized that why this had come to me was because what I was pushing away was this energy of violence and aggression. every time I would see it outside of me, I would make a separation. That's not me. I don't behave that way. That's another old energy that has nothing to do with me. Where in actuality, my soul contract and karma has quite some of those old energies within it. And whenever I felt any tendency within me that was harmful or violent, rather than pausing and being like, oh, I see that, I feel that, I acknowledge that, I love that, I just disconnected from it, pushed it away, shoved it beneath the carpet. And what was the greatest thing for me to get from this circumstance of somebody bringing that energy to me was a recognition that we have to love and embrace every single thing that we don't like. And if we can't love it, then we better at least diminish the level of negativity we're sending out towards it. Because the universe just understands frequencies. And if you really strongly hate someone or something or some concept or somebody out there doing something, and you are sending that energy out with your emotions and with your thoughts, those energies will come back to you. The best thing that you can do is to find a way, find thought forms, find behaviors, find everything you can that brings you relief and diminishes that negativity. See the negativity, the negative behaviors, the things that you don't like as part of yourself. And if you don't believe that there's part of you that's capable of the same shit that the evil ones, or however you describe them, out there are doing it, that the ones you don't like, if you don't see those same tendencies to some degree within you, look a little bit deeper. You may not be capable or desiring of acting on them, and you may have enough self-control to not act on them. Though you may find that if you're faced with a very strong negative circumstance, those same tendencies come out. And if you don't bring enough awareness to them, then you will face them outside. There's a lot to be said about doing your inner work and going within and facing these shadows before they manifest outside, as every circumstance is really there to show you what you're pushing away and what you're denying and what you're avoiding. And when you can love and embrace those things when they're in your face, you move forward a lot quicker. When you find even the tiniest positive aspect of a negative circumstance, it will allow you to start the forward momentum to move forward, to break through barriers. There's nothing that comes from being stuck in a state of powerlessness. And oftentimes we do have circumstances that require a great deal of rest. Though resting and taking it slow doesn't mean we're still not moving forward. Moving forward can be an inner process of breaking through inner barriers, of connecting with your inner child, and connecting with the wounded parts of yourself, and surrounding them with love. And this is a very forward-moving, progressive process. And to stay committed to that process will bring you the best results. The truth is that most of us don't come to spirituality out of a pure place of just wanting the bliss and the love of samadhi and meditation and whatever practice you engage in. It usually actually comes from a place of great suffering, a place of great contraction, and wanting to find relief from that. I was raised by people in addiction to alcohol and to other substances. When I came into my adult life, being raised from this mindset of addiction, I had no means to really care for my own needs, to have any sense of mental stability or balance. And I had no idea what I really wanted or what was the point of anything. Yoga helped me from the point of total loss and confusion that nothing else would have helped me from. And if I would have had an easier, more comfortable life, who knows if I would have found yoga when I did. The truth is that every soul will find their own journey. And there are many out there who don't choose a hard route to spirituality. And in the times to come, there's going to be so many who have the blessing of both having privilege and abundance and the understanding of love and wisdom that will bring forth a new world. Though, for those of us who have manifested difficult circumstances, such as myself and such as many of us, it's so important to recognize that the difficulties were all necessary in making us the healers we are, in developing the understandings within us that we are developing, to experience the greatest state of powerlessness, which is ultimately illusion, is the greatest way to understand how infinitely powerful you actually are. That contrast between that mentally derived illusionary state of separation, of lack of power, to know how deep that can be, how painful that can be, and also how much that is just made up of focusing your energy in the wrong place, focusing from the wrong perspective, and practicing self-hate. To go through that whole journey from being in the despair to layer after layer, coming to find more freedom, is what makes it possible for us to guide others who are on that process and on that path. The truth of the matter on this earth right now is that the light has won, and that love is spreading like wildfire. Those of us in the spiritual communities are expanding our gifts and expanding our communities. We're growing in numbers. More and more people are waking up. It's very true, though there's a lot of others who are still deeply entrenched. And there are many who are choosing the path of sudden collective spiritual emergency as their means to awakening. And we'll all wake up together, but those of us who are developing now, when we go through our processes, we're building within us the strength that we're going to need when the whole collective has gone much further into shit hits the fan mode, because shit's already hitting the fan, and it's a continual process that is beyond the scope of what any of us can fully measure, though it's happening now. And all of our own little dramas and our own little disasters are ways that we can contribute through what we learn from those processes to that collective awakening process. And it may not be easy in the moment, but it can become easier. My teacher used the metaphor to describe the three simple ways that we walk the spiritual journey. We go through the same path. He uses the metaphor of buses that go down the same road, and at any point along your journey you can get off. There's a bus stop waiting every stop of the journey for you to hop on the other bus. The buses are hard bus, easy bus, magic bus. Hard bus is asking the universe to help you with your process through a challenging manifestation. Easy bus is working with your patterns, working with your negativity and your fears inside. Magic bus is to be empowered to choose which reality you're in. Are you in a reality where you have to continue to process all of the old patterns, or are you in a reality in which you are ascending, that you are reaching for that point beyond all of the drama and the duality, and know that you are in oneness? Because in that point you feel pure potential, infinite energy. And this is essentially the process of returning to that place of stillness in the heart. It's coming with this energy that feels like you're levitating or flying almost. It's like an expanse where you realize infinite potential and you realize what's beyond time and space, and you know that to be eternally present. You know your connection. That's the magic bus. And when you come to that magic bus again and again, you realize that you don't have to dive into working on all of the little details of your life continuously, unless that's where life takes you. If that is where life takes you, then that's the easy bus. The easy bus is looking at your patterns. The easy bus is going inside in meditation and facing the darkness and facing the shadows and feeling very deeply and asking that light to come and meet you. The hard bus is asking the universe to shove those issues in your face. The hard bus is basically what happens when you kind of circumvent part of your easy bus journey. Your easy bus journey being owning, looking at, and embracing all of the hidden and dark parts of yourself. Hard bus is, rather than processing it inside, let the universe give you something that will force you to see it, force you to get in touch with it, and force you to feel it. This is just his metaphor, though it's a really brilliant way for me to understand, and for so many people who work with this understanding, to understand what they're doing with their energy. And it has this built-in understanding that if I have something difficult, it's here for me to process a part of my pain body, part of my negative belief systems, part of the energy that I've been transmuting for this lifetime and probably many others. So the approach to everything is essentially the same. If you want to get super simple, is to love, accept, embrace, and look at what's positive about it. Even dis-ease has a positive teaching within it. Oftentimes we manifest a disease to bring ourselves to slow down or refine what we're doing, or to get in touch with an emotion that we're denying. And I've used disease for all of the above. I had one of the most challenging life experiences with disease while I was in India. I arrived talk about hard bus. I arrived in India with maybe 150 euros, and the first day my bag was stolen, I was already feeling sick on the airplane, and I was basically so I couldn't digest food very well the whole time I was there. And on top of that, I was empathically feeling the fears of everyone else, on top of my own really deep fear of being in this country with limited resources, without my things that I had so cherished and thought would help me survive. And I stuck with this journey for 5 months. I had a return ticket. I wasn't willing to just give the journey that I had committed to away because I encountered these difficulties. I went fully into it, and I, for much of that time, either wanted to die or felt like I could die. There were many blessings within that, such as being invited to be part of a yoga teacher training at a very reasonable rate, just being accepted into communities at certain points, though much of the journey I was alone within myself. I was in a relationship at the time that wasn't really working out in a harmonious sense, as there was a lot of love there and there was cooperation in order to survive, but there was continuous tension on top of our own survival fears of both being sick in this country that seemed like it could swallow us alive. And on this journey, I found gratitude. I found gratitude as I was practicing a yoga meditation every morning from Kundalini Yoga to cultivate green energy, heart energy. The heart is always just looking for the positives. The heart is always finding what it can appreciate naturally. And all we have to do is kind of momentarily disrupt the separate sense of self perspective. I would rather use that word, the ego, as we call, I see as the part of us that believes in separation. Um, this part of us that believes in separation, if we just momentarily be like, okay, I see what you're doing there, and I want you to hold, and I want to let this do its thing. The heart will just love and appreciate. Well, the heart will automatically, this is why you don't even need to do this work. You just need to let your heart do what your heart is designed to do. Get out of the way and let your heart do it. I was finding this path of the heart again through this yoga meditation that was for cultivating green energy, and there was part of the meditation that was to find this appreciation, to continuously cultivate appreciation. Look at all of the things that you can appreciate. And I noticed that even in such a challenging circumstance, when I took moments to consciously force myself to appreciate a life that felt like it was going to kill me, I would have the veil lifted. I would go into really intense emotional release processes. My body, which was rather sick, would show me these metaphors of energies moving in my belly, into my heart, feeling this contractions in my heart. I would feel waves and waves of emotion every time. And some of the time I would find myself being able to rest in that place of appreciation. And in returning to that energy of appreciation, reality around you has to change to match it. When you come into that state of appreciation, everything out there will reflect that to you if you can stay focused on that energy. And the negative things that come are just those invitations, again, to go deeper. I, during this journey in India, found myself sitting in a meditation in the Matri Mandir, which has a room, a deep green room that's just called, they have rooms for all of these different divine qualities that feed into the central chamber in their meditation spaceship. In the meditation spaceship for gratitude, I found myself so overwhelmed by this emotion, and I found this huge spiritual energy flowing through me that allowed me to, even within all of what I was experiencing, see the beauty, see how blessed I was to be having that experience, to be the one having that journey, surviving that journey, and brave enough to go on the journey that so many are not yet ready to go for. And in that state, I felt lifted. I had only a couple more weeks left on that journey, and really that deep darkness that I experienced in India was my greatest teacher, my greatest wake-up call. It was after that point that I really began to take seriously the notion that I had a lot of important things to bring into this world, and that I started sharing. And the process of refinement over the years has been beautiful, and it has its challenges, though its rewards outweigh all of the difficulties. And if it wasn't for those deeper moments of a felt sense of disconnection, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't know this energy of courage. and commitment to that. That really is one of the most important things I feel to share. If it wasn't for the challenges we face, we wouldn't be brave enough to embody the light that we are. And so, realizing the blessing in every dark situation is sure to bring a turnaround. The channeled being Bashar has a couple of metaphors that they use to describe this. One being a slingshot analogy, where Bashar says, as a collective, we're pulling ourselves very deep into the darkness, into the pain of separation, like we're moving ourselves on a slingshot. And when we get to a final point of release on the slingshot, it just means that all of that momentum moving back, moving into contraction, means for a greater, more rapid, more complete progression into the light. They also say that we create this experience of the dark night of the soul for the pure sake of learning how powerful the light really is. That in complete and total darkness, the light of one candle, one flame, is enough to illuminate all, is enough to allow you to see within that darkness. And that's all you really need in order to move through the dark night of the soul, is the willingness to see in the darkness, to be like an owl or a jaguar, and let the spirit of those animals, the animals hold this deep primal wisdom, and these beings that can see in the dark, that move through the dark, that are even predatory, allow us to own those darker traits within us and to see through it, to see the truth of oneness and the truth of what humanity is destined for and what we are destined for as individuals within the collective creation of this new age of light. The most important thing out of all of these little tools and understandings, and I hope this video has in a way been organized well enough that it makes an impact and it leaves you with something that you can walk away with and hold on to and apply in your life. Though I think the most important thing is really that awareness of what is the greatest healing good, what is the highest benefit of all. If the circumstance and the challenge that you're facing is part of the greatest healing good of all, how would you respond? What is the best frequency that you can put out to help all others? And coming into that mindset can really be so beneficial to everything that you do. If you dedicate everything you do to the greatest healing good of all, then that energy that you hold will be seen and acknowledged by those around you. And as more and more people take this awareness, it is really part of this awakening that's happening now on the planet. The shift from moving from serving oneself and oneself alone, which we needed when we were more basic primates, to the idea of supporting each other, of everybody coming together to support everyone else. This is the energy that's most needed. And when you put out just the tiniest bit of your light, even when you're in the darkness, that light will return to you. Our wounds teach us how to heal. I've said this in many ways already, though all healers need to learn first how to mend their own wounds in order to help others mend their wounds. No one can do it for you, and everyone is their own self-healer. We do need each other in order to provide certain services, to help each other in specific ways, to reflect to each other unique and specific frequencies. Though, in truth, we all do it on our own inside. We all decide where to place our focus and how we manage our energy. So, to always come back to that choice, to empower yourself to choose to serve the light, will always lead to more light for everyone. And it can be that simple. I've said a lot because there are many complexities that arise in our lives. And realizing and owning that everything is here to help us. That when we make these choices aligned with the light in the greatest darkness, then we bring that light into this world. And this world needs so much more light and love. And we're all here to share it in our own unique way. So my deep blessings to you, and I wish you to enjoy this moment in its perfect completion as it is, to realize that you are complete as you are. And even if you are in a state of despair, confusion, or loss, that from your higher self's perspective, there is no loss. There's only opportunity for more expansion. And loss is just a way that energy moves in new directions, makes rapid and total changes. So, whatever you may be experiencing, find the hidden positives within it. Thank the universe for it. Thank all of those involved. And love yourself enough. Love yourself more than enough. Love the you that created the situation. And don't make yourself wrong. Knowing that you can only attract to the perfect lesson. Everything that you experience is the perfect lesson. And if you learn to use it as that, you will be amazed by how quickly and how beautifully you learn. We're all learning together. And I am learning a lot myself. I'm learning how to use my energy, my love in the most beneficial way. And it's a continual process of refinement. Let go of the idea of mistakes, because the universe doesn't make mistakes. Mistakes are only an illusion that we perceive from a limited, separate perspective. Have a bright and blessed day.